What's up, everybody? This is the college football championship week, and we're talking about FanDuel here on the Insiders TV college football show late on Friday night. With me, the one and the only Benjamin Pritchett. The first person to ever dance like this to this song. This is not a show tune.
Is this our theme music now?
This is how I show my love. I made it in my mind because
Happy birthday, Johnny!
Man.
Johnny Manziel, everybody, turning 21 today, and you know where he's at, Benjamin?
Vegas.
He is in Vegas. What if he ran into the guys and he was like, Mr. Tuttle, Head Chopper, you guys are my daily fantasy player heroes. Like, what if that happened?
Oh, man. I would love to hang out with him for like 10 seconds. Like, I only need 10 seconds just to hang out with him in Vegas because that's going to be insane.
Can you imagine him and Tommy G together?
No. No, I really can't. Because, I mean, if anybody's actually spent time with Tommy G in real world, not just on the computer, he is that kind of guy. I kind of miss not having him in our chat. But, yeah, Tommy G and Johnny Manziel, I kind of figure that Johnny Manziel is like a Tommy G of college football.
He's like a wannabe Tommy G. Oh, the stories that we could tell.
Crazy.
I really want to tell one, but we just can't. We just
No.
can't. Just put it like this: the guy has no filter at all. So,
For sure.
anyways, Chance says tell one. Okay, one. This is probably the least one I could tell is when his girlfriend at the time walked into the gift shop, and these three guys, it's like 4 a.m. in Vegas. These three guys like were hitting on her, and we're out in the floor of the casino, and she says, Tommy, take care of them. So then Tommy goes up to these three guys, and Ben, I'll let you take it from here.
No, he went all. He said he was hanging out with me, you, and I think Primetime 420 was there, and he said, "Hey guys, hold my drink." And so he handed the drink of whatever it was to like Primetime, and then he walked over to these three guys. I mean, they look like maybe accountants, but there was three of them, and Tommy goes Jason Bourne on them, and is like, "Hey, little guy, you get behind me. I'll deal with you at the end." And then he tells these other two guys, he's like, first off, I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna crack my elbow across, like, and he's got a smile on his face. So these guys don't know if he's crazy or if he's just being funny or if he's dead serious. Which is the charm of Tommy G in the real world, is that you don't really know if he's one of those three things. And so he's telling them this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, David, we just met this guy. This was before Tommy G became Tommy G. And we're like, we just met this guy, and we're going to have to fight for him in the middle of a casino with, hundreds of people around. And you know what? Tommy G put them in their place. These little guys walked away with their tails between their legs, and they were like, we don't want anything of this guy. And, I don't know if I gained more respect for Tommy G, but I definitely gained a story out of it. But yeah, it was sick. That was pretty awesome.
He's on Twitter right now, and he's not happy about something. The guy is just a firecracker. We love him, and we miss him in the chat for sure. So we will We'll just have to stay tuned. That's just the bottom line. There might be something that happens over the next hour. But yes, he definitely did it was like something out of like a movie, The Bourne Identity, Fight Club, where he like starts telling these guys how he's going to take them down.
That's awesome.
And
This is incredible. I've never seen anybody
I
do
mean,
that before.
I will admit, I am a lover and not a fighter, and so I'm just like this. Like if something went down, it'd been. I mean, I'd have had to throw down. But that if you're counting on me to throw down on account of your behalf, then you're in trouble. This guy again, lover, not a fighter. Let's talk though about college football. It is championship week. And this is like a great week to play college football because you like not only get to watch the championship games, but you get to have like action. Like I mean, our teams, most everybody's teams are not in the championship game, but you want to watch it and you want to feel like you're cheering for something. That's why it'll be good. So tell us a little bit about your article that you wrote on fantasyinsiders.com.
Yeah, I've put out a lot of action so far just because I know we're coming to an end, and I did pretty well the past couple weeks. So I'm trying to get my fill before we kind of have a layoff in just NFL. For me, I don't play much NBA, so yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a one of those things you just kind of have to deal with. We're gonna have a couple weeks layoff, and then we'll hit the bowl weeks, but. Championship games are pretty fun. We're going to run into a tougher schedule. It's a tougher slate. Trying to deal with some of these teams that you may not know a whole lot about. But it was fun for me just doing the write up. And the last time I felt really pushed when I tried to write, I actually did pretty well, and I felt pretty good after the write up was done. I didn't feel like I did the greatest job the last time when I walked away, the tough slate, but this is another one of those tough slates where I hope I did it justice. Just with championship games, you're running into good teams. I mean, look at tonight. You have Northern Illinois facing Bowling Green, and most people would just automatically assume the undefeated Northern Illinois is going to just skate through it, but they haven't, and they've had really hard time dealing with the passing offense of Matt Johnson, and so when you're looking at these games tomorrow, it's going to be kind of that same mentality. You kind of have to look at the things you don't see happening. And that's why I kind of like that we're doing FanDuel this week, because we do get to use the Utah State and Fresno game and the Lafayette game against South Alabama. And we don't have to worry about, so as much of trying to deal with UConn, Memphis, and Michigan State, Ohio State as some of the other slates on the other sites. So I really enjoyed writing this. I hope everybody enjoyed reading it. So I'm ready to dive into it a little bit more.
You talk about some of the games out there, like the South Alabama Lafayette game. Vegas projecting that at 58 points, so 30-27. We also have the top two, really, well, I guess three big games: Florida State, Duke, Baylor, Texas, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. Those are really the high-scoring games that you're going to see. Rice Marshall is. Did that one get played? Has that one already gotten played? Or is that?
No, it's tomorrow at 11. Our time, 11 Central time.
Rice Marshall, but I guess if you have some of those Marshall guys, anyways, Baylor, Texas. That game is at a 72. Baylor favored by 2 touchdowns, and you said that you really like Bryce Petty after learning about the injuries to Texas's defense.
Yeah, after I wrote the article, I found out that, when I was digging, just doing more research on it, I mean, it doesn't really stop. If you're a DFS player, you know that the research doesn't stop, especially in the college football world where people don't really give us a lot of information. So you have to dig and dig and dig, which is why I like kind of being being a college football guy that people go to, because it gives you a avenue where people have to go to get information. So, yeah, this Texas Baylor game, there's two linebackers out. The top tackler for Texas is out for the season with a liver damage, and their other linebacker, I can't remember his name, but he's going to be questionable going into the game. And if Baylor's dealing with a beat up Texas linebacking core, which has been really good lately over the past few weeks, I'm willing to bump up Bryce Petty. I'm willing to bump up Lake Seastrunk, and even some of the other guys, the fringe guys that Baylor has. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, and that's probably why Vegas has this game as a 2-touchdown favorite for Baylor, is because they see these injuries as being that impactful for the whole course of the game. And I would tend to agree, although I don't count Texas out to give them a game. If I was a betting man, if I was going to just straight up bet on this game, I wouldn't take Baylor and the 2 touchdowns.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. I think that it could be a high scoring game, and if it is, then that favors Baylor. But I don't. With the temperatures down in Texas.
I know Susie, the weather girl, huh? Tell us about it. Tell us.
I hate to be Susie the weather girl. Susie is what we call David when he tries to bring up in our own little chats.
One time, and all I did was post a link, and it was in that
is the
San
game.
Francisco game where the weather was supposed to be bad, and so Ben went off of the.
I pulled Colin Kaepernick and Vernon Davis because of that,
and they went
nuts. Yes, they did. They definitely did.
Okay, so TF Belangia. I think it's Belangia. I think that's what we have established. He wants to know if there's any concern for weather.
Yeah, obviously that's what we're talking about. Is the cold always is a factor when you're talking about quarterbacks and scoring, and it tends to deflate scoring. I don't know if it's going to keep Bryce Petty from throwing touchdowns to Antoine Goodley or whoever, but it could, deflate, a game from being a 80, 90 point game down to a 60, 70 point game. I wouldn't put that past them. If you've played sports in the freezing cold weather, especially a sport like football, I wasn't, David, we weren't great high school athletes. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I wasn't a great high school athlete.
Speak for yourself.
I played a lot in some cold weather, and man, when you get hit in cold weather, it's tough. It hurts, and I hate to be a little pansy, but it was tough. And so that is a real problem when you're looking at players as they go out into these kind of cold atmospheres. And it's really cold across the whole Midwest. But with that said, I still like Lake Seastrunk, and I still like Bryce Petty. I liked them before I found out about the linebackers. I like them more now. That doesn't mean that I would give them grades higher than some of the other running backs and quarterbacks in the other slates or in the other games, but I still like them for sure.
So, does the weather make you want to play Seastrunk more then?
Yeah. Yeah, I was already bumping Seastrunk up. He was the first guy that I would bump up when I heard the linebackers were out, just to give you my brain processes. Seastrunk was the first guy.
Gosh, your brain processes. Oh man! For those of you that don't know, I've known Ben pretty much my whole life. There's no shortage of nerdy terms that just come out of this guy's mouth. The guy is an absolute nerd. His name should be Nerdy Slugger instead of Natural Slugger. Probably. That's how nerdy he is. Anyways, enough about your brain processes, as far as the ground attack. Let's talk about Antoine Goodley, though. People might be off of him because of the week he had last week, but that's because he was going up against some talented secondary, which you kind of warned about, even though you did pump up Goodley. But you did warn that he was going up against a good cornerback. So you're on Goodley, though, again, and you're also on Ty Montgomery. You like Ty more than you do Antoine. Is that because Ty had that great week for you? Is it like
Yeah.
emotional?
It sure is. For sure it is. But he also had the one thing I love about this Stanford Arizona State game is that we actually have a game to reference. I mean, I know it was earlier in the year when teams kind of looked a little different and they played a little different, but we actually have a game to look at. When we look at baseball players, I like to look at, how a player reacts, not necessarily to a pitcher, but, to a style of pitcher or, a park or things like that. And that same thing kind of plays into when you're looking at a player of Ty Montgomery's status when he's playing Arizona State. It will be different that he's on the road, but he had 2 touchdowns against Arizona State, and Arizona State's pretty weak against the pass overall. They played some tough passing offenses, but it doesn't mean Ty Montgomery couldn't have a good game. We've seen how dynamic Ty Montgomery is. He got me 5 touchdowns a couple weeks ago and won me a ton of money. So I'm very biased. He is a stud. But I like Tyler Gaffney in that game too. If we're just kind of looking at the game itself, I think Tyler Gaffney is the focal point of that offense. So they're going to want to run the ball through Tyler Gaffney. They have 3 skill options. If Stanford scores points, it will go through Tyler Gaffney, and it will go through Ty Montgomery, and it will go through Devin Cajuste. And those are the 3 spots. So you can take the risk on Cajuste, you can take a good price of Ty Montgomery, or you can go with the big back and pay up for Tyler Gaffney, who's maybe a little bit safer.
On the other side, you got Jalen Strong, who you wrote about, and you also wrote about a guy named DJ Foster, and I want to read you something from last week. You referenced a guy named DeAndre Lewis. This is for the Draft Street Big Score. And then here's what you said. There will be much ado about DJ Foster, with running back Marion Grice being ruled out for this game. But with Foster's inexperience carrying the ball, I look to running back DeAndre Lewis to get the biggest benefit. Surely, Foster will see an increase in touches, but Lewis is a good back that is ready to show his stuff. You go on and on about Lewis, and I'll just go ahead and let you tell us what happened last week and how that factors in to your rankings this week.
Oh, you dirty, dirty man. So yeah, I didn't know that these articles. See, I'm putting it into print, so you can always bring it back to get me. Which and I feel like that assumption of the Arizona State offense was valid in that we hadn't seen DJ Foster run the ball all year. He hadn't had more than 9 carries. So when you can't just automatically put 20 carries onto a running back and assume he's going to be good. And, DJ Foster was very successful last week. He had 23 carries for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was awesome. But he didn't catch a lot of passes, which is what he's known for. And I expect we'll see more of that than against Stanford than the 124 yards on 23 carries. I did not see at all that Demaria Nelson, the tight end, would become the H-back that would score 2 rushing touchdowns in short yards and goal line. I didn't see that at all. And DeAndre Lewis had like 2 carries for 4 yards. So, there's a little bit of where we have to speculate and predict that. I have to be honest, I didn't see happening with the research I was doing. I didn't see Nelson, becoming this kind of do everything back, which is funny because we may talk about this later, but Nelson also had 3 tackles and a forced fumble in that game.
You love the dual threat.
No, I do. And so that's why I bumped Nelson up when I was doing my rankings. He's tight end. He's 3,600. I played him, and I think I have 4 teams playing right now in GPPs, and he's on 2 of them, maybe 3 of them as my tight end. So I'm a big fan. Or he works well with my salaries, I should say.
Something about you've always had a thing for people that go both ways. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that's about. Actually, I am sure what that's about. But Florida State, Jameis Winston. Let's cut the. I'm really afraid to give you a platform for Jameis Winston, given the allegations, because I really don't know what you will say in that instance, because sometimes you like go into these deep dark places of these players' minds where you start like putting thoughts like you like, okay, if I was Jameis, here's what I would say. I don't want you to do that. So let's take out the whole sexual allegations. Let's just talk about his play on the field. Can we do that?
I had no plans of talking about his sexual allegations, so
Okay.
I mean we can, but
No. It was my fault. I shouldn't even brought it up. But you like Jameis this week. Tell us why.
you know, taking all this into consideration, the fact that this guy has dealt with this all year, whether it's true or it's false, I've kind of maintained. I think Jameis Winston has probably been the most highlighted guy in all of my articles all year, from the first week all the way to now. And it's just because if you spend 2 seconds watching him play, you understand how great he is going to be on the next level and how great he is. And
You're a huge fan because you don't just watch football clips. You watch clips of him like playing baseball,
no, I know
walking
that's
to
bad.
class.
In his bedroom. What? No.
See, this is what I wanted to avoid. Ben, you've already get.
I can actually testify for the
Stop.
for
Just
the
stop
defense.
right there. You like you like Jameis. That's obvious. You Mav, you dirty dog, you. We have though Kelvin Benjamin and Rashad Green. Last week, I saw where you started Rashad Green on a team paired with Jameis instead of Kelvin Benjamin, and Benjamin went off. He's the deep threat. He's the guy that can go long. So, your thoughts about these two wide receivers for Florida State?
I didn't see Kelvin Benjamin. I mean, I didn't. I know that he had 2 touchdowns the week before that, and he was on kind of a roll of touchdowns. But that's just what I saw from him: 60 yards and a touchdown. I saw Rashad Green as the go-to receiver, but Rashad Green just isn't that guy anymore. Kelvin Benjamin is taking over that role, and FSU doesn't throw the ball enough to where you can kind of expect these wide receivers to have huge games every week. I know they have 3 800+ yard receivers, and they have a chance to have all 3 go over 1,000 yards. I see Twitter, I see all that, and that's awesome. But Jameis Winston spreads the ball around enough to O'Leary, the tight end, to Shaw, Green, to Benjamin. Although he had 212 yards last week, he had only had one other game where he had eclipsed even 70 yards. I mean, the rest had been like 60-yard games with 2-3 catches. He had a 100-yard game against Boston College. But, last week he had 212 and 3 touchdowns. But to just automatically assume that he's just going to translate that into another huge game this week is not doing yourself enough service in your research. He might do that. Duke is good defensively, but they're not going to be able to match up with Florida State. There's a reason why Florida State is a 30-point favorite. And there's a reason why, they're projected to score 40-something, 50 points. It's because their defense is unbelievable, but their offense is just as dangerous. We just haven't gotten to see much of it because I think the few weeks that I've actually used Jameis Winston on my teams, the defense has scored 2+ touchdowns in each week. And it's really frustrating because when you're trying to use a quarterback that you think is going to do well, and then the defense scores all the touchdowns, it just makes it tough on your fantasy teams. And he's just in that kind of boat. We're not dealing with an NFL slate where, a Peyton Manning is going to get his no matter what. Even if the defense is playing well, Peyton Manning is going to have a good game. In college, they pump the brakes, and FSU pumps the brakes harder than anybody. And so there's always that risk. But I think Duke's going to give him enough of a game where we're going to see a lot of Jameis Winston. So I like Rashad Green as a cheaper option to Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin's $7K, Rashad Green's $5.2K. So
that's what happens when you have 9 catches for 212 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns.
I mean, that's just cray. Let's just call it how it is. It is cray. You like any of the running backs for Florida State?
Um,
No.
not this
Okay.
week.
I
No,
mean, don't force it. If you don't like it, don't force it.
I don't hate Devontae Freeman if you're going to run one, but no, I wouldn't personally.
Fair enough. Running backs, Devil Ball 420 giving us the update on Jordan Lynch, saying that he just scored a touchdown. So good stuff. Running backs, tell us who you like at the running back department.
Trey Mason's my favorite. I've kind of always liked him. I like backs, and Trey Mason was a linebacker turned into a running back, and I like hard nosed runners. And if you've watched Trey Mason play, he runs with enthusiasm, he runs with passion, and he put up 164 yards on Alabama last week in a huge game where Alabama knew that Auburn was going to try to run the ball with Nick Marshall and Trey Mason. They don't have any other form of offense. It's Nick Marshall, Trey Mason, and then an occasional deep ball. And so Alabama knew that, and they still couldn't stop them. And that's just a testament to how well this team is coached with Malzahn, and how well Marshall and Mason are playing. Mason especially, I love Mason. I think Mason is just a stellar back. I pointed out in the article that his best games have come against the best teams. He's averaged 137 yards against LSU, Alabama, and Georgia. So to just automatically assume that Missouri's going to be able to automatically contain him in Atlanta, it just does it. You can't just figure that. And Missouri's defense is built on its ability to pressure the quarterback, and they're not going to be able to find that quite as easy with a quarterback like Nick Marshall. So I like Trey Mason. I think Trey Mason has a huge game. Even at 8.5K, I think he's pretty much a guarantee for 100 plus yards and a touchdown or more.
You're guaranteeing him for a hundy?
No, I'm not. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'll guarantee that. What are we betting?
No, we're not. We're not betting. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
You want to guarantee him, so
We need another bet. I want to. Not that I want to see you in lipstick again, but maybe we can come up with something.
yeah, right.
That was a big. That was a big ratings draw.
Yes, it was. What a night that was. Talking about some other running backs, what about Henry Josie for Missouri? Do you want to stay away from Missouri just because they have so many different options? You're just not sure. He seems more like a GPP play than anything.
No, you hit it on the nail on the head. He's had some big breakaway runs over the last few games, but when it comes to consistency, you just can't automatically assume he's going to have a big breakaway run against Auburn. And so, when I go into this game, the game's going to have points. It's an SEC championship game. It's going to have big plays. And Josie could very well be that guy. But like you said, the amount of options that they have in the passing game and James Franklin could very well run in a bunch of touchdowns. So it would be foolish of you just to automatically assume Josie is going to be the guy that pays off when he's got a 7K salary. I totally agree with you. He's a GPP play.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't see him. I can't see him as someone who I want to target. I haven't really been high on him at all this season, and sometimes that's come back to bite me. But just with all the different options that they have, it's just tough to get behind them. S-Ray Taliaferro from Marshall, 6,600, also maybe a GPP play, just because Rice is terrible against the run. I know you didn't have him ranked, but I just thought I would throw it out there. Wide receivers, who are some wide receivers besides Goodley and Ty Montgomery that you really like this week?
I would, I try to rank for every price point. If you're going high, if you're going medium, if you're going low. For me, I really like the medium range of wide receivers this week. I put together 4 completely different teams, and I don't have one high price receiver. I think actually I take that back. I have one team where Jeremy Johnson was a throw in when I thought I made it for the Thursday slate when I thought Gilbert had a better chance of playing this weekend. It's now looking like Gilbert is probably going to be MIA, so you can kind of deduct Jeremy Johnson a little bit. And so then I'm thrust right into the medium guys. And Isaiah Burse is a big one that I put him as the highlight guy. And there's a reason for that, because Josh Harper is tweaked his groin. He could be out. He's practiced all week, but in a limited capacity. I've tried to do my research to try to figure out if he's going to play or not. Nobody's given up that information. If he doesn't play, Isaiah Burse, and I ranked the other guy, the guy that filled in for him last week. It's Justin Johnson. And both those guys are going to be the biggest beneficiaries. Isaiah Burse is already in there as the third slot receiver, but he's going to get a big uptick in attention because obviously Utah State's going to give the most attention to Devontae Adams, because Devontae Adams leads the nation with 22 touchdowns. So, with Burse coming in, Burse has had a good season, even as the number 3 option in the passing game. If he becomes the number 2 option for Derek Carr, won't be the last time I make that mistake. For Derek Carr, Burse should just be huge get for 6,600. So yeah, I really like him. And then we have Jalen Strong. We already talked about him. Mike Davis has been just phenomenal over the past 4 games. And if Baylor continues to struggle and that's a high-scoring game like we talked about, Mike Davis is a good play. I think he kind of falls more into the GPP variety than he does just straight-up cash games, because I think there's other cheaper options.
So if you're playing one wide receiver for cash games on FanDuel, who is it? I'm going to put your feet to the fire. You have 3 seconds.
Andre Davis. That's not even a question. Andre Davis is on all my teams, even the GPPs.
Tell us about why you love Andre.
Yeah, Andre Davis. When you kind of look at South Florida, you automatically don't look at him past the first 10 seconds. But Andre Davis has been exceptional with Mike White throwing him the football. Even though Mike White only has 3 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and has really struggled, they're playing Rutgers, and it's going to be cold. It's in New Jersey, and they have this winter storm, Cleon and Dion heading their direction. So that'll be difficult, to manage when you're talking about passing the football. But he's consistently putting up big games every single game. His worst game over the 4 games that Mike White's been throwing was 7 catches and 87 yards. If that's the worst that he does, then at 5,500, he's worth the gamble. I mean, the fact that they're playing Rutgers, who is just basically throwing whoever they can out into the secondary. They're going to frat houses and grabbing frat boys to play in the secondary right now. And so you can put up yardage. I don't care who you are. And Mike White has enough of a pedigree to think he can actually throw the ball for 200 plus yards. If he does that, Andre Davis is going to have a good game. If he can get a couple touchdowns, Andre Davis will be the recipient of those touchdowns.
So Andre Davis is your guy. Tight end. Is there any tight end that you feel just really good about this week? I mean, that's not kind of a roll of the dice.
Tight end's really tough this week. The short slate, the 12-game slate, makes it more difficult. I really wish that I would have had this guy Bayer from Bowling Green that has 130 yards and a touchdown. But when I'm looking over the guys we have to choose from this weekend, you have Gator Hoskins, who if Marshall's playing and I'm doing a slate with Gator Hoskins in it, he's in the rankings. He's just fantastic. He's a slim tight end, and Cato likes to throw him the ball. He's the number 2 option in the passing game. 5,100 is doable when you talk about a guy that has 13 touchdowns on the season. And then you look at the medium guys. When I go into the medium guys, those are kind of the guys that want. Of the 4 teams that I made, and I did this on purpose because I knew we were gonna in prep for the show. I had one of the 4 with Gator Hoskins. The 5,100 price tag just kind of pulls him out of my usability. The other 3 teams, 2 of them had Nelson, the other one had West Saxton. And the West Saxton team was a GPP play where I stacked all of South Alabama. Well, 3 players from South Alabama, and they're 3 skill players. And so those are the guys I like. If you saw them in the rankings, those are the only options I see as viable guys. There's 4 of them. You pick.
We have some questions from the loyal viewers that we have, even on championship week, even when people are in Vegas. I mean, we still have people that want to hear what you have to say. I mean, it's crazy. Who would have thought this a year ago, that people would want to hear about your college football picks? But they do.
It's not that surprising.
Mav says, a slim tight end, you're killing me, Slugger. Just stick around, Mav. I mean, this guy, we have a pretty close friend group because we've been friends for so long. Ben is like the quote factory. We still use quotes that he said like back in middle school, high school,
Like what?
college.
Like what are you talking about? There's not any quotes. You don't have any quotes on me.
Oh, I've got tons of quotes. Like the time Ben said in high school, Ben was a little chubby in high school.
Wait.
He said that he had closing speed. That was his term. He was so adamant because someone said he was slow off the block, and he said he has closing speed, and he was dead serious. He really thought that he got fat, that once he got his momentum going, that's what he had, closing speeds.
I do have good closing speed. I still stick by that.
And you got the thumb blisters, you got all sorts of inside jokes. We'll have plenty of time for that later, but just a quote factory. So yeah, slim tight end, threshing floor, all that stuff, big boned. But TF Belangia says Chaz Dodd or Mike White, both minimum salary on DraftKings.
That's not even a question for me. It's Mike White. Chaz Dodd sucks. Like he does. Rutgers sucks, period. So if you're thinking about Rutgers, South Florida, I mean, just to get serious for a second, South Florida's defense is solid. And so if you are going to pick anybody against South Florida's defense, you better go in with a GPP mindset, whereas I'm just kind of throwing money at the wall and seeing what happens. And that could happen. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's not a guarantee. And Florida, South Florida really did a good job of containing Central Florida last week, almost beat them. And we're talking about Central Florida that is going to a BCS game. Probably. I don't know if they've locked that up or not, but either way, you're talking about a team that has played really well over the past 4 weeks, especially defensively. Maybe not necessarily offensively, but defensively, they've been great. So stay away from Rutgers. Mike White, on the other hand, I know we talked about that he's 3 touchdowns to 8 interceptions since he's been the starting quarterback, but he has enough of a pedigree. And this is something maybe we shouldn't tell my wife, but I do tend to go to some of these fan boards where you get to see these guys that are alma maters, they're where they just love this team. And so they pour out, we have some friends like that. You all know somebody like that goes to a message board to put out their feelings. And I like to read what they have to say, because sometimes they know more than you're going to get through the news. Whether it's biased or not, you're still going to find stuff out. And so, they talk mixed feelings about Mike White, if he's going to be the quarterback of the future or not. But he's dealing with, I put this in the article, 50% of the playbook. So, they're not really opening it up to him, the whole offense. As he's growing more and more comfortable, they've said they've been very satisfied with it. He did well against Houston. I think he threw for 300 yards against Houston, which Houston's defense secondary can be pretty tough at times. So, if you're going minimum play, Mike White's my guy.
I know we're talking about FanDuel, but the guy I really like on DraftKings, the thing's going to be heavily owned, is Marcus Shaw. Only $3K. He just it's kind of a no-brainer over there. But who knows? Maybe people forgot about him because of the injury. He's really all they have there. So that would be my suggestion as far as DK goes. Speaking of DK, my name is David Kitchen, aka Soccer Dave, with Benjamin Pritchett, and this guy is just a quote a minute. Ben, you have put together all of your picks this season, and it's something that you really wanted to become like the person that did the most research and kind of was the person that was the most in depth with their college daily fantasy football research, and I feel like you definitely accomplished that. If we could just take like a collection of everything that you wrote this season, it would probably be a novel. Um, I don't. Where's that coming from?
Our
Oh,
fans,
our fans.
my fans.
Show us the glass slugger. Glass. Sports is Fix says, are there any Olympians, cousins, next door neighbor, and college best friends, roommates playing this weekend to plug in a lineup? Chance says, by far the best weekly college football article published this year. So well done, man. And Soccer Dave, the way that you control him and lead the show is brilliant. Well, Chance, thank you. Appreciate that. We always love when, you know, Ben, your big thing is you want to help other people. And it's not really because you have a big heart. It's really because you don't have the stomach to play a lot of daily fantasy. So that's kind of the reason why. No, I'm just kidding. We want to get into some other questions. Kalani91 says, don't like De Lorenzo, 3.75K.
What site is he 3.75K on? Is that DraftKings?
3.75K would be.
Yeah, it would have to be DraftKings. He's 5.2K on FanDuel. Yeah, 3.75K. He's more in.
Can we not say 3.75K?
What do we call it? What do you say?
37.50. I mean, when people are on the game show, they don't say 1.25K. They say 12.50. How much did you wager?
That's a good.
So
3,750. I can get behind that. Memphis's defense is okay. De Lorenzo is not a stellar back, so just to automatically assume he's a big time guy. I mean, he has had a touchdown in 3 straight weeks, but 15 carries, 50 yards, maybe a touchdown. That's what you're going for. I can do that with 3,700. I'm not going to do that with 5.2K on FanDuel. So
5.20K.
5.20K.
He said Shaw and Bergeron better than De Lorenzo, right? As far as that Texas running back situation, you got Malcolm Brown. You have Bergeron that's kind of vultured his carries. What's your thoughts on that backfield? Just kind of stay away for cash games?
Kalani likes to go with these guys that are kind of riskier options, and all 3 of these guys are risky options. But Shaw is a good one. Bergeron, he got a ton of carries last week, but to automatically assume he's going to get that against Baylor, who has a top 10 run defense, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, it's going to be tough considering he's the number 2 back, and they're going to want to get Malcolm Brown the ball more than Bergeron. And if they're playing from behind, Bergeron gets a bump because you're talking about passing the ball, and Bergeron's the passing down back. It's a tough call. I would take Shaw and Bergeron over De Lorenzo if we're just going off of that. Yes. Sorry. What is that?
Danger Powers personal effects.
Actually, my name is Austin Powers.
Are we watching
Says your
Austin
name,
Powers?
Danger Powers.
No. Danger's my middle name.
Danger Powers.
Oh, Danger's my middle name. That reminds me of what you said about Kalani. He likes to live on the dangerous side. For those also that don't know, I was a huge Austin Powers fan. A huge fan. I was always quoting that. Had a T-shirt. Man, I love me some Austin Powers. So if you ever want to get on my good side, just start quoting some Austin Powers, and that will do it. We have some more questions. No, we don't. We just have Devil Ball giving updates to basketball scores in the chat. Good stuff. I think that will do it for today. Abbreviated show with championship week. Bowl season though coming upon us, and it's going to be really fun. I know you're looking forward to bowl season.
Definitely. I'm not looking forward to the next, 2 weeks off or 1 week off before we actually get into the bowls. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So maybe we'll put together a highlight reel of the show because there sure have been some pretty funny.
We have baseball too, man. With me and Tuttle and you, that's going to be good times.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, but that's not. We still have basketball. Going on. Just got a tweet that mentioned me. I should go ahead and just fess up to it. This is from Mr. Total 05 who's in Vegas. Says, I asked the Insiders DFS guys for a bet to place. Soccer Dave suggested the Jazz. Just check the score. ... The score 109 to 76. 109 to 76. The Blazers did not miss in the first quarter. Did not miss. Scored 39 points. Only missed 4 shots. I knew Dan was going to get back at me. Mav says, let Slugger break off some more knowledge. He will be in the chat to answer all your questions. Chance says, Slugger already prepping for baseball. I love it. Ben is not one to toot his own horn. But he was the top 5 fantasy pros expert for MLB. Worked for the Hardball Times. That's kind of how he got in the whole fantasy stuff. And he is... You might be ranked top 5 this year, too. It just kind of depends on the relief pitching.
Yeah, I did okay, I think. But, we never know. Fantasy Pros has their own little formula to decide who has done the best. But, yeah, I feel pretty good with my rankings. I love... Baseball's my first love. College football is my probably my true love. I don't know. It's a good mixture. I like both. I don't know, David. Save me.
I will save you. Also, a little tidbit about Ben. In high school, we called him One Hop because he was the catcher, and he would always one hop at the second base. So there you go. We're gonna stick around and chat here and answer some questions and just kind of, just hang out with you guys. But again, I want to just say thanks to Ben. His tireless work has not gone unnoticed, and just everything you've done since week 1 has been top notch. So really appreciate everything you've done. No, Ben is not paying me to do this, and he's.
I appreciate it, David. You come on here and host a show. You do a great job too, keeping us on our toes every single day across all sports. You did 2 today, didn't you?
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
You're only saying that because it's true, so stop it.
It is.
Anyways, that will be today's college football show. We'll stick around. Maybe we'll even be live answering questions. Who knows? Sign up. YouTube.com/Fantasy Insider. Subscribe to the videos, and I'll upload this later. And that will be it. Thanks, guys.